Hey, don't get angry with me. It is my faculty council and staff, architect and interior designer, who are responsible for it. At the most you can charge me for aligning with them to increase the intake, said Dr. Tushar Patel, director of IMP, Institute of Management, to his counterparts in other 5 institutions, one of whom was little upset over the increase of 80% of the required increase in the intake of PGP, that is postgraduate program, of IMP under the OBC, that is other backward caste quota. IMP was one of the 6 institutes who were given 3 years to increase the total intake by 54% of the seats as in July 2007. IMP had increased 80% of the required 97 seats in the first year itself, instead of 15 seats, that is 12% envisaged earlier, while others had increased intake by 12 to 15% only and were to add the balance over the next 2 years. Dr. Patel said, in March, the Faculty Council had met to discuss the issue of increase in the intake. I was reluctant to even attend such meetings, but on the request of some senior members, I agreed to do so. However, I had made 2 things clear to them. One, the Board of Governors' decision of payment for teaching up to 2 additional PGP courses above the minimum of 3 courses at a rate at par with the adjunct faculty will be implemented only if the PGP intake was increased. The issue of additional payment was initiated by me for the board's approval because there was acute shortage of faculty to meet the requirements of increased teaching load when the OBC quota-related increase in PGP intake takes place. Secondly, I needed at least 3 to 4 months to make arrangement of infrastructure required for increased intake. At the end of the meeting, he added, the Faculty Council resolved to increase 1 more section of 60 students. We got the same approved by the board in the next meeting. Later on, however, some interesting developments took place. 1. The Supreme Court of India cleared the OBC quota issue on 9th April 2008. But the Calcutta High Court granted a stay on its implementation. The directors talked to each other and it was decided that since the admissions were getting delayed for other candidates, the institute may send the offers in the same way as in the last year, that is pre-OBC quota year. Our admission chairman accordingly sent offers to 700 general category candidates and likewise for SC/ST students. But instead of 140 acceptances in the previous year, 190 acceptances were received from general category students, thanks to excellent job placement of the graduating batch of 2008, said Dr. Patel. There were 3 doctoral students and 2 PGP1 repeat candidates. In all, thus, 235 seats had got booked, including those of SC/ST category. None of the acceptances could be rejected. Towards end of May 2008, Calcutta High Court also cleared the stay. We were now caught in a strange situation. Even after increasing 60 seats, only 5 were left for OBC candidates. No one would take this lightly, we felt. 1 full section increase in the name of OBC quota and only 5 OBC candidates admitted, he said. An urgent faculty council meeting was therefore called to address the issue. Members deliberated on intake, section size, etc., counting every seat in the classrooms, and it was decided to allow 28 more seats for OBC candidates, taking the total of 33 seats for OBC candidates. An urgent board meeting was also called and approval for 268 seats was taken. Thus, in all, 88 seats were decided to be increased. Due to unknown reasons, after the above approval by the board was taken, the other institutions issued admission offers from waiting list, and almost 48 general candidates withdrew admission to go there. IMP had to exhaust the entire OBC quota list. Indeed, it admitted 70 OBC candidates, and thus almost the entire 27% OBC reservation done in the first year itself. Due to increase of 85% of total seats, IMP was expected to get more grant from the ministry, almost 85%, while other institutions got proportionate to the percentage of seats they increased, that is about 6 to 10%. You must have used some magic stick to do that, quipped one director. How could you accommodate 85% of the required increase in intake when you claim that your institute has maximum constraints and requires more time, effort, and money to expand? No magic, but managerialistic, little foresight, little innovation, little concern for society, and little luck did all this, Dr. Patel smiled and said to himself. Answering to a query by the case writer, Dr. Patel said, when I came here, the institute had gone for increasing intake from 60 students, that is one section, in 2002, to 120 students, that is two sections, in the year 2003, on demand from the ministry. But unfortunately, the phase 2 construction work required for second section got delayed inordinately. The second classroom complex, CRC2, required for 120 students, was only halfway through. There was a married students hostel, but since there were no married students, some rooms were occasionally used for visiting faculty. Most visiting faculty, however, used to stay in hotels. A guest house and another married students hostel were coming up. The institute was wholly dependent on government grants, and funds were not coming as there was standoff between the ministry and the institute. I requested the architects to convert the 36-seater classroom into 60-seater and 60-seater classrooms into 80 to 90-seater in classroom complex 2. They reworked and came up with a plan of 60 and 80-seater classrooms. This helped us in moving fast and increased PGP intake to 180 in 2005 when the first batch of 120 students was passing out. The money earmarked in 2004 to make stopgap classroom arrangement to accommodate 120 students was thus saved by expediting completion of CRC2 in July 2004 itself, which was expected to be ready by January 2005. With CRC1 having two 60-seater classrooms and two 36-seater classrooms already there, the total number of 60-plus seater classrooms went up to 6 instead of 4 planned initially for the 120 students batch size. 2 of the classrooms could indeed accommodate 80 students. This came handy in accommodating 280 students in the first year with 2 60-seater and 2 36-seater classrooms available for second year students. In the afternoon, almost all the classrooms were available for second year students. There was a large number of expert faculty members coming from outside. The flight reached here only in the afternoon. The availability of classrooms for second elective course thus gelled well with convenience of experts faculty coming from outside. It helped in overcoming an embarrassing situation that could arise if the seats fell short for OBC students, quota students as mentioned earlier. The money earmarked in 2004 for making temporary makeshift arrangements for 120 students in second year was used for furnishing the two married students' hostels and guest house. Two interior designers were appointed, one for the guest house and the other for converting two married students' hostels into two additional guest houses. They converted them into two impressive double occupancy guest houses, giving 48 beds in all the three guest houses put together. The design was so attractive that not only the participants of the low-cost faculty development programs liked it, but even visitors coming for job placement started preferring to stay in these guest houses than in hotels in the city. When we increased the intake to 180, we needed two more hostels. We thought of making one hostel with 60 single occupancy rooms and other one having 42 double occupancy rooms, a little larger in size with an attached toilet to accommodate two persons. It was an experiment. We had observed that all the PGP students' hostels were used only for 9 months and were vacant for 3 months. We thought of furnishing the 42 rooms hostel like the guest houses so that they can also be used for conducting faculty development programs in summer at low cost. The furnishing was so attractive that the board agreed to have next to students' hostel having 64 and 48 rooms also designed the same way. The PGP students liked it so much that they requested the institute to allow them use the double occupancy hostel instead of single occupancy ones. Just through interior design, by 2009 we got additional accommodation for 212, 2 into 106 participants for FDP and MDP in summer of 2009 at no extra cost for civil work, only furnishing cost was extra, and also offer executive accommodation to PGP students on their request. By doubling the occupancy, 106 extra beds became available for PGP students. Therefore, 85 students could be accommodated to increase PGP intake, well before the regular infrastructure for increasing PGP intake could be created under the OBC quota. I never realized the power of interior design, my dear, nor the fact that the constraints and environmental threats could be opportunities. It helped us grow fast. Furthermore, when we converted the married students' hostel into attractive guest house, we started saving about rupees 30 lakhs each year, the amount that was spent on hotels and transport for visiting faculty. A year's saving is almost equal to the cost of furnishing them. This also helped in conducting MDPs and FDPs without having regular infrastructure for the same. In 3 years, we achieved leadership position in FDPs. But making the students' hostel attractive executive hostel gave extra economies. The addition of 85 students with rupees 3 lakh fees fetched rupees 250 lakhs, which would go to 500 lakhs next year, while the incremental cost was only about rupees 100 lakhs. It also led to additional accommodation for conducting as many MDPs and FDPs and conferences in summer as possible by the faculty. And above all, we were able to surpass increase in PGP seats required as per OBC quota by 10% in the second year itself, something which could have taken 7 to 8 years in our location, said Dr. Patel. The case writer was little intrigued. How much was the growth rate of the IMP? How the increase in intake took place? Is growth just a matter of choice? Was there any conscious strategy? What were the benefits accruing to the institute due to this increase? How much benefit is due to innovative thinking and interior design? Can one measure the monetary value of the same? What was the so-called managerialistic used by Dr. Patel? He wondered.